Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's MobileCause webinar. Make heartfelt videos that bring your cause to life. If you'd like to get a copy of this webinar presentation sent directly to your phone, you can text Heartfelt, that's H-E-A-R-T-F-E-L-T, to 51555. Again, text Heartfelt to 51555, and we'll send a copy of this presentation directly to your phone. We've got a fantastic lineup of speakers today, along with some Q&A. We are going to cover a terrific agenda, creating videos that drive awareness and donations for nonprofits. We'll discuss how to get comfortable and confident in videos that matter. We'll have a video success story with Big Sky Youth Empowerment, plus 3 heartfelt video examples that all fundraisers can replicate. As I mentioned, we've got a great lineup of speakers today. We'll have Dana Ritchie, who I'll introduce in a moment, who's the CEO and executive producer at Backlot Productions, Michelle White-Hart, a video visibility mentor and coach, Whitney Caldwell, a communications director, and our very own Jeremy Koenig from MobileCause. First up, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Dana Ritchie, who is an award-winning journalist and seasoned storytelling pro. She is an executive producer and CEO of Backlot Productions. Since forming the company in 2003, client assignments include TV and film content for Sony Pictures Television, VH1, Fuse, Crackle, Yahoo, Hulu, and many more. Having enjoyed a 20-plus year career in Hollywood, Dana previously worked at ABC News 2020, where she worked with Barbara Walters and won several awards, including the Cine Golden Eagle and Genesis Award. Dana also takes pride in Backlot's nonprofit endeavors, which includes videos for numerous organizations, including the American Heart Association, Lupus LA, the Point Foundation, Friends of the Family, and Save the Music and the Concern Foundation. She also volunteers for Stand Up to Cancer. Welcome, Dana. What are the first steps an organization should take in planning a successful video campaign?
Sure. Well, Chris, the first step I would say is to be authentic in all of your video campaigns. Audiences will connect best with the human side of your work when you highlight your organization's core messaging. This is really important. A video campaign should stir emotion. It should call people to action in terms of getting them involved as a volunteer or donating their time or even resources. So I think really authenticity is what gets people to know more about what you're doing, to learn about it, and that will draw the viewer in. A lot of times they'll want to know what they can do to help. So a tool like a video campaign can do that very effectively.
And what would you say then are the main components of a successful fundraising video?
Sure. Well, I want to go through some specific points here. So the first one I'd like to talk about is to really evoke the senses and create emotion when telling your story in a video campaign. I think that a lot of organizations out there can choose images and stories that make their audience feel like they're a part of their community and really an extension of their organization, which will give them a reason to really believe in that cause. The second thing I want to talk about is to create a familiar story. I think relatability is really key here. I think that organizations can tap into what resonates with their audiences by creating that familiar persona that incorporates the message and ultimately the aspirations. So powerful characters are also really important for any great story for marketing collateral. Who are the powerful characters? Who to cast in the video? Maybe it's an honoree, maybe it's the CEO of the organization. When you have people who are talking to the audience that are familiar to them, it establishes an empathy that can be relatable and ultimately get them behind your mission. The second thing I want to talk about is know your audience. Without really knowing who your audience is, if you don't know who you're talking to, the right people won't be listening. So targeting your story for a very specific purpose can elicit fundraising. It can help with crowdsourcing or just even start a movement. So I think knowing who you're talking to is extremely important. I also want to speak to passion. I think passion is a really important tool here for a video campaign and for fundraising. If you have a purpose in mind and you put some passion and depth behind what you're saying, it will really help draw the audience in. A genuine passion not only reflects the overall tone and feel of the video, but it really helps people to understand the tone and feel of the organization and getting them to be excited about the mission and what ultimately the organization is doing. So I'd say finding that passion is really important. And the last thing I want to talk about after passion is humility. Sprinkling in a little humility is also very powerful. The more humility you can infuse in your video campaign, the more it will connect your audience in a very sincere way, creating trust within your organization, creating a reason for people to really want to join.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about some of the best practices and learnings that you can share based on all of your experience creating video as part of fundraising campaigns?
That's a great question. I've been involved in a number of charities. I've done a lot of videos for different nonprofits and organizations. I'll name a few here. I've worked with the American Heart Association, the American Kidney Foundation. I've worked with Lupus LA, Save the Music Foundation through VH1. I've worked with Stand Up to Cancer. In my experience, using video as part of a fundraising campaign is essential because people really want to see and connect to the story you're telling. And I think telling your story in a very authentic way can really help with the fundraising aspect. I think that's key.
Fantastic. And now, a little bit about what do you think are the best ways to promote video content to get more views and boost donations overall?
Sure. Well, the best way, obviously, to get more views is to be social. The best way to promote a video is by using social media and to promote your cause and really tell your story on that platform. Some valuable places to promote a nonprofit video would be Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You'll want to create a following in a community. And my best advice is to give it time. A really great campaign happens over time. It's not a one-shot experience. Don't expect to put out one video, for example, and automatically get 1 million views. It usually doesn't work that way. Sometimes you get lucky. But allow for time for people to really connect to your work, to find your purpose, to get on board in terms of sharing and liking your organization, what it has to offer. They will ultimately socially spread the word to raise your organization's awareness. But being social is a wonderful tool to build your community. It also really helps to connect your supporters, and your images should reflect stories that are immediate and real to them. Immediacy is very important with social media, especially with the landscape being so competitive. So this means creating your visual narrative, not only for screening purposes at your galas and events, but to really employ them in a meaningful way on social media, on social channels and platforms, so people can share or like the message you're putting out there, which will in turn create better brand awareness and start those conversations.
Terrific. And now, what would you say to those organizations who are just starting out with video? Maybe they don't, have a budget to hire a professional. What kind of advice do you have for people just starting out?
Yeah, sure. So my best advice to any organization would be to start small. You don't have to create a feature film or even an award-winning documentary or have even a flashy ad campaign to be successful. I've seen great footage come my way these days, even shot on an iPhone. You can get inventive on very small budgets, even sometimes no budget, and sometimes be just as effective. The most important thing to know is what story you want to tell, to strategize that story, and say it in a way that connects to people, and shoot it the most compelling way you can. Like I mentioned, you can shoot on an iPhone. You can still shoot that in a compelling way. It just takes a little work to figure it out. But once you get that strategy right, you can absolutely connect with people. It doesn't matter what the medium is. These days, there's so much mixed media all over the internet. All kinds of content are not only relevant, but even getting a lot of acclaim, even if shot, again, on a very small or no budget. So I'd also like to remind people, too, there's a lot of film schools out there with very talented students, all looking for a chance to gain experience or build their reels. This is another great way to go if you're on a small budget. Contact schools. You can work with their internship coordinators, and you might even find a master storyteller just waiting to get your message out to the world. So I think organizations can definitely tap into those resources. There's no reason why a great video can't be produced.
Terrific. That's fantastic insight. And thanks so much for being on our webinar today, Dana.
So I'd like to introduce Michelle White-Hart, who specializes in training conscious social entrepreneurs to harness the power of video and dive into making authentic videos that inspire participation for important causes. Welcome, Michelle. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Chris. I'm so glad to be here.
So how do you think, how do you get people to feel comfortable, right? And I'm sure a lot of those that are listening and attending the webinar today might be going, oh boy, how am I, I just thought I was, great at driving engagement and awareness for my nonprofit, and now I have to be a video spokesperson, or how do I do that?
Exactly. And it is a leap, I have to say, even for myself, when I had a filmmaking background and then here I was going to teach people to make videos. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do it now too. And so the whole thing is that the more that you feel like you're feeling yourself, like even if you're nervous, feel your nervousness. It's okay. So already we're going to feel the real you just by you being real with yourself. Not that you have to say, oh, I'm so nervous, blah, blah, blah. But first, you just get to be okay with however you're feeling in the moment. Like if you're nervous, that's okay. You can still make a video. And the next thing is to feel, when I say feel the nervousness, I mean feel it in your body, feel your feet on the ground. Like feel your connection to the earth so that you're like not trying to worry about what other people are thinking, but you're actually in connection with yourself, and that it's okay to be seen imperfectly. We're not all going to be perfect on video, and there's a learning curve, and it's okay to be imperfect in the beginning, and just know that you'll always have some imperfections. Like John was saying, it's okay to make mistakes. And it's like when you're talking to a person, you're not perfect. You stumble on your words sometimes. It's just being really accepting with your humanity, really. We're not expecting a perfect movie star performance at all. And in fact, the most important thing you should know is that your imperfections actually make you more endearing to your audience. People are more interested in listening because they actually feel like it's a real person like them and not some faraway perfect person who doesn't have any connection to humanity. So those are sort of the main things to keep remembering, is that it's okay to just let it flow. And especially on Facebook Live, it's okay to let it flow. Imperfections there's way more casualness on Facebook Live, and I find it's a much easier medium for people to get comfortable on video.
And now in terms of like charitable events, how do you then, get comfortable? Again, I guess there you may be speaking at the event. What kind of recommendations do you have in terms of best practices for live streaming at fundraising events? Well,
at fundraising events, I mean, what I really think is fun is to have a sense of this is an adventure, and we're just going to spontaneously talk to different people and find out what they're excited about the event. So you want to capture, you want to be in a place of excitement about the event, and you want to sort of lead whoever you interview live at the event. And it's fun to interview different people, donors, people who are at the event themselves, who are excited about the cause, and just ask them, what are you excited about this event and why are you here? And just if you convey your excitement, people are going to share theirs. And that's what has the greatest impact, I think, for people watching is we're really excited about what we're doing here. And that passion and excitement about what you're doing is why they're donating. And so you're just building the excitement by sharing and asking different people. And it doesn't have to be all professional here. It's more casual, but it's being led by the excitement.
And now how about capturing these behind the scenes footage? And I guess, a couple of questions. Do you think it's a good idea to kind of maybe pre-identify some folks, that are at the event that are probably going to be better at being interviewed than others? And, what other thoughts do you have around that?
You're right. I think that's actually really good in the beginning when you're, getting started as the one who is interviewing these different people is to have, that's a great idea to have so that they know that they're going to be talking and they're going to be comfortable talking. But later, when you're more comfortable doing this, it's okay if people are not necessarily that comfortable. If they agree to be seen on video, it's okay for them to not be, again, perfect at speaking on video. And the thing is you want to have fun and be spontaneous as well. So if you're comfortable with people not being all posh and perfect at it, and they're coming and you're getting them excited about why they're here, that is going to override. And I know that, there's two kinds of Facebook Lives in a sense. There's the ones that have much more of a content message behind it that needs to be hit on, and the points are you want to make sure you're delivering certain kind of content. This kind of thing that I'm talking about here with behind the scenes can be more on the human, spontaneous side where we're actually getting a sneak peek that normally we wouldn't get to have. It's not all polished. It's like, in the tabloids, everyone's so intrigued about, what the stars do when they're grocery shopping. It seems so mundane, but we're all curious about the human side of these people. And it's the same at the fundraising event, and working at a nonprofit. We have this, they all have a message that they want to get across, and Facebook Live allows for this human side to be seen where you're not necessarily capturing specific content, but you're capturing energy, you're capturing passion for the cause or the event, and that is invaluable. And it's just a different angle, and it adds more variety to the kinds of videos and Facebook Lives you're presenting, so people can get a sense of getting a sneak peek behind the scenes that isn't all perfect.
Yeah, and I think that you got some great ideas here, of course, for all sorts of ways that you can give people a sneak peek and let them feel connected with what's really going on. So obviously this is just the tip of the iceberg for the kinds of things that you can do, right?
Exactly. I mean, and as you do them, like, for example, as it says over here, like streaming the rehearsal, the setup, the teardown, it's like people, might think that that's boring, but it's kind of exciting to see before an event and the after event and how people are feeling about the event before and after, and testimonials from donors, spontaneous testimonials. Just, they haven't planned this. It's sort of like they're just going to share why they're so excited about why they donate to this event or to this nonprofit, and then streaming the after party and all of that. It's like we didn't get to go to the event, so we're getting a chance to actually be at the event and see behind the scenes things that a lot of people wouldn't even see even if they're at the event.
Right. Fantastic. And so now how about empowering members of the staff? Like who should be chosen to be the Facebook Live producer?
Great question. Well, I think in the beginning, it's really good to go with someone who likes to ask questions and who's curious about people and who likes to engage with people. And it doesn't have to necessarily be an extrovert. I'm an introvert, actually. I've become more socially sort of looking like an extrovert, but someone who likes to connect people and promote and has that energy of, I want to share. I want to share what we do at this nonprofit with the world. And I want them to see all the different cool things about what we do. So someone like that who feels comfortable engaging with the donors or even staff members. It doesn't have to be just at a nonprofit event. I think it's really fun. I'd love to see, a sneak peek of The Office and, preparing for an event or preparing for a big press release or an unveiling, like what goes on at the office for even a shorter little sneak peek, could be 5 minutes, just little tastes of the energy of the people who work at the nonprofit. So someone who feels comfortable, who likes talking to everyone at the office and loves to engage with people, I think that would be a great choice.
It's like, every cause essentially can now create a culture of worldwide participation at literally any charitable event from anywhere. Is that right?
That is totally right. I mean, it's like it's like expanding your audience instantaneously, that they can actually participate in a fundraising event that they didn't have to spend a lot of money to attend. They get to be a part of it and be a part of the energy, and then engaging them, asking them to comment and share their voice about the cause.
And for those, nonprofits, and probably most nonprofits now really need to be thinking about how to connect with millennials. Is this important? I mean, have you seen this to be an important factor in connecting with millennials?
Absolutely. Millennials really love this style of raw, unpolished, authentic kind of presentation, because sometimes I think we're so hung up about trying to present a really polished image to be taken seriously, but the millennials don't care about that. They're like, I want to hear the passion. I want to hear what you guys are doing. And Facebook Live is a great way to reach them and to get them involved.
Yeah, and do you think that's kind of why they like live, sort of unscripted, raw? You think it's because people sort of have this maybe suspicion around things that are too perfectly produced? I think they feel they need some trust and connection with what's real. Do you think that's what works?
Exactly. And the connection is the new currency, is exactly what they're tapped into. They want to feel the connection, the realness, the authentic drive to, whatever the nonprofit believes in. That's what they want to feel. They don't want to fall into the whole image or even the money or all these other things. They really want to feel people's true passion to why they're involved in the nonprofit and what the nonprofit is doing. And that live, uncut Facebook Live energy is exactly what is authentic to them. That's what they can relate to. Real people talking about this stuff.
Fantastic.
I'd love to introduce our next speaker, Whitney Caldwell from Big Sky Youth Empowerment. Whitney is the Communications Director at Big Sky Youth Empowerment, an adventure-based youth mentoring program working with local at-risk teenagers throughout Gallatin County, Montana. Welcome, Whitney. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So tell us a little bit, first about, Big Sky and what you've been doing there, and then a little bit about how you've been using video.
So Big Sky Youth Empowerment, or BYEP, like our website, is a 4-year group mentoring program for local at-risk teens. We meet twice a week and in smaller groups, break out into smaller groups, and meet for a group mentoring session on the weekdays, and then get the kids outside on the weekends and engage them with our community and this beautiful place that we live in. We are located just outside of Yellowstone National Park. For anyone that doesn't know where Big Sky, Montana or Bozeman, Montana is. So we have a lot of beautiful natural resources where we can take the kids hiking. We go skiing and snowboarding in the winter up at Big Sky Resort, whitewater rafting, rock climbing. So just really trying to engage our participants in an active and healthy lifestyle and provide opportunities for them to kind of jumpstart and get engaged in their lives. So that's what we do at BYEP. As far as video goes, we've been using video in a number of different ways throughout the last few years, primarily used at big fundraising events or gala events to tell the story of our organization to any first-time donors or donors that attend our events regularly. We've also kind of diversified using videos throughout social media to engage just the greater community in what we're doing on the weekends or what a workshop might look like on a Monday night. We've also used video to share more specifically like curriculum that we're implementing during workshops or teaching at workshops, and a kind of a fun and engaging way that might be used to help connect with parents of the participants, to help connect with teachers or counselors or parole officers. And so we're just really trying to reach a number of different demographics, not just donors, but really trying to reach all audiences through video.
I think that's a really great point to make to everyone. Do you when you think about your different demographics or audiences, do you sort of have a clear picture in your mind of, okay, these are our key audiences, and now this is the type of stories that we think will really, connect with those different audiences, and you kind of plan that out?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. We work with, or really the manpower behind our organization, volunteer mentors. We have upwards of 100 mentors that give or donate 10 hours of time a week through us. So we really try and connect with them and engage with them, especially when we're trying to recruit new mentors. So engaging through video, absolutely. Like, Instagram, come and join us on the weekends, and it's a video of us skiing at Big Sky on the weekends. So definitely like being aware of the demographic that you're speaking to and your audience and the message that you're trying to convey. Certainly important to segment.
And how did you sort of, kind of come up with, and do you all brainstorm sort of ideas that here's the things for each of our audiences that we think will really resonate with them? I mean, what's your sort of process for kind of, imagine maybe some folks are like, boy, how do people, they feel like they're less creative than others. And so what would you say to those that maybe feel creatively challenged, or how do they come up with these stories or these ideas? Any thoughts around that?
Sure. We definitely, as an office, and we're a small office, we're a small organization. There are 7 employees. So though there may only be a couple of us working in fundraising and communications, we definitely powwow together with our program staff. And I mean, I think creativity just happens naturally when you're working together as a team. So don't let, oh my gosh, I'm not creative, I can't think of these kitschy little like campaign slogans. Get together with your team, and especially the people that are working with the programs directly and working to serve your mission and your purpose. They're going to have some really just compelling firsthand stories of what's happened, of your mission. So I definitely encourage working together as a team as much as time allows. I hope that helps.
Yes. And now, I know this is kind of a tactical question, one that has come up a few times here in the chat. How do you do in terms of releases? Do you get everybody, all the volunteers and the mentors, like, do people sign video releases so it's okay? Like, how do you deal with that? That kind of, what are your recommendations for that?
Every participant that joins our program and a mentor that is volunteering, and even staff, we all sign waiver releases. So knowing that like any picture or video or audio clip that we use may be used for program marketing.
Right.
And we've never had any problems.
Got it. And then I'm guessing, I think, in terms of like if you're out public domain, I think that's, so if anyone's not, a member of the organization and you're out in the world, like at, say skiing somewhere, I'm guessing that because you're out in the public, you're okay in terms of getting releases, correct?
Yep, absolutely. If we're on Big Sky Resort, and really a lot of our adventure partners, so where we go and recreate on the weekends, it's extra marketing for them. So I would guess that would be one recommendation for any of the listeners wanting to film their programs. Like, always just think of different referral sources and sponsorship opportunities potentially for people that you're working with. Why not have their logo in the background? Right.
So here's some examples of some video storyboards, and how do you use this in your sort of process? What's your recommendation for folks?
So our storyboards, we always come up with, you had mentioned segmenting the communications and who you're trying to communicate to. So if we are creating a video for a fundraising event, who is going to be in the audience and what do they potentially know about our organization or don't. So we kind of sketch everything on a whiteboard first. What are some important themes that we want to highlight about our organization that could catch someone's attention? So definitely coming up with content first, and then working through identifying characters and identifying storylines. So the storyboard here, we used this video, or we created this video this winter for a fundraiser, and we wanted to highlight participants in the program and get to know them on a personal level, and then also on a level of what they do in BYEP and how different aspects of our program has helped empower them and change their lives. And then also interviewing our program staff and mentors, people that are implementing our mission and serving the population. So we interview them and then take the audience through some of what we do and just trying to introduce our mission. And then we always try and follow up with a call to action, whether it's a donation or getting involved in the organization, mentoring, hosting an adventure. Definitely a call to action at the end is really powerful.
Terrific. And this, again, just as a reminder to everyone, we will be sending out, a link to view these slides. So that's a great outline on that previous slide that anyone can follow. So tell us a little bit about that, how you've kind of shared that video and how you've kind of made it work, in terms of fundraising, and, how does it kind of integrate with those overall activities?
Sure. We'll use videos, like I said, during an event. So leading up to a cash call or special appeal. And we've tried a couple different formats where we'll create kind of a storyline. So there's multiple 1 to 2 minute videos that people are engaged throughout the event. So we're capturing their attention and kind of reiterating our mission. And then it's been really fun integrating the MobileCause, suite of services, because you really offer a lot. But playing a video and then opening up to a cash call and just watching, we've used the thermometer, the text to donate thermometer, at a couple different events, and seeing that, hearing like a compelling story, and then switching over to a text-to-give thermometer and just seeing all of the engagement from the audience populate in front of your eyes is pretty powerful. So I'm also working on a crowdfunding campaign, which I'm excited about. I was just working with our customer service representative on some video messaging through MobileCause. So we're excited to get out of the R&D stage of the video messaging through MobileCause, but implementing that in a crowdfunding campaign as well. So the text messaging platform is really awesome. It's been really helpful for us.
Terrific. And I think that's a great segue to kind of really point out to everyone that, video can absolutely be integrated directly into, your text-to-give pages and others. And I think Jeremy Koning's going to talk to us about how exactly that's going to work. And we've got a lot of great questions coming. So if everyone, just as a reminder, we're going to go a few minutes after the hour if you're all okay with that. So we'll get to as many of these questions as we can because we got a lot of great ones. Is there any kind of final recommendation that you sort of have after, everything you sort of learned and how best to, use video to directly drive giving?
I think to reiterate some of the themes from Dana and Michelle, video doesn't have to be this huge production. And we all have smartphones that have the capability. It's fun. I mean, our staff will, during an adventure day, just clip or film 15 to 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be this huge process, but and post it on the Instagram or Facebook. And the response is awesome. So take the pressure off of needing to have this largely creative storytelling piece or storyboard rather, needing to have a huge production that's, weeks or months of planning. It can be really simple. Of course, some of the film and stage videos are great, but it can be just taking it out of your pocket and saying, look, we're having fun, building confidence on the ski hill. Thank you, donors, for making this possible. Posted to social media, and the engagement is pretty awesome.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And again, we're going to save a few minutes for questions, so hopefully you can stay around and answer some of these questions. And now I'm going to toss it back to my colleague, Jeremy, who's going to talk to you about how you can strengthen your nonprofit with video today. Jeremy.
Thank you so much, speakers. Dana, Michelle, Whitney, you are an inspiration. I am so excited to see what all the attendees on this webinar are able to do with video to truly strengthen their mission with Heartfelt video. Now I'd like to jump into 3 really great examples of Heartfelt video that we believe all fundraisers can replicate in some form or fashion. So the first video I'm going to turn to is all 3 of these examples are from Big Sky Youth Empowerment, and I'd encourage you to go to their Vimeo page and check out their whole library of video recordings. They have lots of great examples, but I just picked out 3 to show you. The first is a mission overview with a clear call to action for donations. So I'm going to go ahead and play that, and then I'll say a few words when it's done. The most important thing to recognize about this video is that it's 90 seconds. We actually recommend that you create and recreate your mission overview video about every 6 months to a year, and then you cut that video into 90-second version, 60-second version, 30-second version, and 15-second version. And then you upload that video to Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, as well as promote it over email, text messaging, and social media. This video is very much the heartbeat of your organization. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have a clear call to action at the end that contains a keyword as well as your website URL. Half the people that watch videos and then respond by making a donation text keywords, and the other half goes straight to your website and click the donate button. So it's important that both your text to donate keyword and your website donation button go to the same donation form so you can track how your campaigns are performing. Next, I'm going to show an example of an inspirational video with testimonials from program recipients.
To laugh often and much.
To win the respect of intelligent people.
And the affection of children.
To earn the appreciation of honest critics.
And endure the betrayal of false friends.
To appreciate beauty.
To find the best in others.
To leave the world a bit better.
Whether by a healthy child,
a garden patch,
or a redeemed social condition.
To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived.
This is to have succeeded.
Really, really great video. Again, recorded testimonials of in this case kids or whoever's lives are being transformed by your programs. These are the best, most powerful way to share the impact that your nonprofit organization is having from the perspective of individual stories of lives that are just being changed and all the good that's being done and accomplished by your mission. Lastly, I'm going to show an example of behind-the-scenes footage. That's really cool.
Camera B.
Camera B speeding.
Slate. Scene 102, take one.
My name's Rod, and I like
wait. One thing.
To hold for the action.
Remember?
Oh, wow. My bad, bro.
Make sure
Get ready, and then director.
he's full in first.
Action.
My name's Rod, and I like to party. All right, Dave, you're up.
Hi. My name's Dave, and I like to party.
No, Dave, I just said that. I party, so maybe do something different for me.
My name is Dave, and I'm the stuntman.
You know what? Let's move on. Rico, you're up.
Hello. I'm Rico, and I like to party.
Yeah, what did I just say to Dave?
Who?
Dave.
I like to party. I'm Rod.
No, you're Kevin.
Right, Kevin. I party.
No, you don't. Okay? Nobody parties but me.
Wait for the director.
Cut.
There you go.
So weird.
You're just a multiple personality.
Yeah, that's tricky. He played it off pretty well,
Yeah. Thanks for watching these three. I'd just like to say quickly about behind-the-scenes footage. Actually, we see that these are the most popular videos created by nonprofits. In other words, they actually will get the most organic views online, whether that be on social media, email, YouTube, etc. Just a reminder and a reiteration of all the things our speakers have said. Raw, entertaining, and exciting and/or funny videos are so important for nonprofits to make the human connection and inspire every type and age of donor, volunteer, and program recipient to give, care, and share. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Chris for our Q&A.
Well, great stuff. Again, everyone can continue to submit your questions. We will get to as many of them as we can during the Q&A. First question, back to you, Michelle.
Do you have any thoughts on sort of the length of a video and ideal recommendations for everyone?
Well, I'm just, there's been so many different kinds of videos that we've talked about. Like, for example, Whitney was saying, just a quick 30-second video just saying, we're showing you what we're doing today, skiing together. Those can be 30 seconds. But if you wanted to say more about something, 2 to 3 minutes is fine. But there's a lot of freedom here as long as it's compelling and engaging. Some videos are actually going to run a little longer if it's like an interview, So, but 2 to 3 minutes is great to really give something more than just a quickie, but not too long.
Right. Fantastic.
Chris, I'd love to jump in and also add something to that. I actually have a colleague at the Salvation Army that ran a test specifically for fundraising videos promoted on Google. And they did 90, 60, 30, and 15-second videos. And as they shortened their video to 15, the response for the video for actually completing donations went up. And what they found is it was because people were actually getting to the end of the video more often and seeing the call to action. So to reinforce what Michelle said, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, but I will share with you that piece of information that the shorter your video is, the more people will see your call to action and thus respond.
Great.
Fantastic. And now, Whitney, here's a question to you. Do you sort of, for every campaign, how do you plan out all the different videos? We talked about sort of segmenting the audience, but do you also say, let's say you have a program and we talked about a bit about like having a live event with the thermometer. Do you plan ahead, like sort of a whole series of videos that sort of create all together create like an overall story? Like, how do you plan out ahead of time which videos you want to produce?
Absolutely. Especially if we're using our videos for information as an event, we definitely spend time planning and creating messaging, and then working with, we're very fortunate to work with a gentleman who donates film services to our organization. So we spend a lot of time writing content, filming, post-production. So for events, yes, we do spend a lot of time planning. For any sort of like social media, that's awesome and instant and off the cuff. For our crowdfunding campaign, we are spending a little bit of time, though it's not as intensive as our event videos. We do spend a little bit of time creating messaging, and then just having fun shooting video.
Gotcha. And I think, what everyone can kind of take away from your answer there, right, is there's different types of video format, right? There might be, 3 to 4 minute, more produced video that's kind of in line with that storyboard that we showed a few slides back. And then there's maybe more shorter form, sort of social media type content. Is that right?
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
And do you sort of recommend that everyone kind of create a schedule for that type of stuff and kind of plan it out monthly? How do you guys approach it?
I would. Yeah, we do, from our social media, we do try and follow a little bit of a content schedule just so we're not redundant with the messaging that we're putting out. So yes, absolutely. And I leave it up to, sometimes I'll ask the program staff, this is what I'm thinking as far as messaging, but then let them, if they're out on adventures for the weekend and whitewater rafting, definitely if you catch a video, awesome. But it's always important for them to kind of be in the moment too, which I think provides some of that raw and real footage as well. Right, fantastic. And Dana couldn't be with us for the Q&A, but I did want to address one question that she answers well when in her portion of today's webinar in terms of finding resources.
A couple of you were asking about, finding production companies or that type of thing. And one suggestion, certainly that's a recommendation. I mean, there's folks like Dana and Michelle and many others that can actually help you, produce video. But there are also, one of the suggestions Dana made was going to your local colleges and universities and finding film school students, right? There's a lot of great young people that are looking to create great content and have a great sense for how to put that together from a technical perspective, so that might be a great option for everyone. Quickly, I want to throw it back to Jeremy, also kind of back to just the basics of text to give, and I think it bears repeating some of the things that you talked about in terms of how best to, integrate video with text to give and crowdfunding and that type of thing. Is there anything that you want to specifically address in some of the questions that you've seen come through about that?
Yeah, definitely. So text to give works incredibly. There is no substitute for it anytime you have a live and captive audience. So if I'm standing in front of a room full of 10 people or 10,000 people, if they're all looking at me and they're focused on what I have to say and I want them to respond, there is no better way to do it than to have people pull their cell phones out of their pocket and text a keyword to a short code. They can be signing up to become a volunteer. They can be making a donation. MobileCause has all sorts of interactivity that can happen with that texting of a keyword, as well as people completing donations. And so the thermometer is one of our most famous solutions that many of our organizations use, including Big Sky Youth Empowerment, where when people make a donation, it actually shows up live on screen at the event. The Steve Harvey Foundation actually just did a massive worldwide live YouTube broadcast, and Steve, while riding an exercise bike and panting and sweating and making jokes, was literally reading names off of people donating to his cause. And so that's how you really use keywords. In terms of using donation forms, again, keywords are just a way to trigger a auto text message response with a link. And what's most important is that when people are reading something, don't ask them to text a keyword. Have them click a link. So, for example, if you have a social media post, we'll put your donation form link there. If on your website, don't have a big call to action at the top for a keyword, but rather have a big button that says donate and then takes them with it one click to your donation form.
So Michelle, back to you just real quick. And again, I think, because your specialty is really getting people really comfortable with producing video and that it doesn't have to be this perfect, professionally scripted piece. So again, I think is there, in terms of those that are just really starting out and wondering, do I need to hire an expensive production firm, or, what kinds of videos are best produced on a mobile phone?
Right. And I think that that's a great question. The videos that are very spontaneous and capturing sort of the energy of the moment, like I keep referring to to Whitney's example of showing what the kids are doing, just grabbing these moments as they're happening. Those kinds of videos are the best, really giving people a taste of the work that you do is, and just going for the moment rather than having a whole scripted thing that you're trying to present. That's a different kind of video and requires more planning.
And is there anything kind of specific sort of coaching you'd recommend for, for those people that are kind of, when you get somebody on camera who's maybe, not super accustomed to it, and what tips do you give people, for right. coaching their subjects? Any recommendations there? So
whether you're the one who, works with the organization or you're interviewing somebody, it's like the most important thing is to just first notice if you're like spinning with the thoughts and just recognize, oh, right, I'm in my thoughts. And so the thing to do is to get in your body, which is to just start breathing and just feeling connected to why you're making the video, as I mentioned earlier. Like, you're connected to a bigger cause. It's not about you. It's about something much bigger than you, and you have an important part to play in this. So really getting how important your role is and it's not about how you look and how you're going to come off that's going to be the most important thing. So
Wonderful.
That's the first, yeah.
And so everyone, I would definitely encourage you to, seek out Michelle Whitehart and some of the content that she's put out there for some great tips, about that and getting comfortable with how easy it is. You can produce great videos on your phone. You don't have to be a professional video producer. So one last question here for Whitney. So Whitney, for everybody that maybe hasn't started out yet, do you have any thoughts on sort of what's the first types of videos that people should dive into? Is there any kind of best practice there or any kind of recommendation that you'd have for everyone? Where do they start?
Since our cell phones are taking just great videos and the iMovie is so accessible and Facebook has added, I feel like social media platforms, even, Vimeo and email, you can add a video into your tagline on your email. Start with a quick little cell phone video and just get comfortable filming really quickly, concise content. Like, that's always tricky, paring down your message to 15 seconds or 5 seconds or 10 seconds. So I would probably start there and just getting comfortable adding that into your communication strategy.
Terrific. And again, I think, for everyone that wants to learn more about MobileCause, as I think Whitney mentioned, number one, we have a fantastic customer success team. So once you sign on with MobileCause, you get a dedicated person that's going to help you, work through how to use all of the aspects of MobileCause. And before you start working with us, we're absolutely available to take every one of you through a detailed demo, an explanation on exactly how you can, do all of the things that we've been talking about today. So we'd encourage all of you to visit us at mobilecause.com/demo or give us a call at 888-661-8804. So I'd encourage all of you to do that. We're all about helping and empowering every one of you to use the latest technology to reach, connect, and engage with all of your donors and your community. And we will look forward to seeing all of you again on our next webinar. Thank you all so much for your time today.